friends. Thanks for joining me today on my channel, Life by Shauna. If you like what you hear or you want to make sure you don't miss a video, go ahead and push the subscribe button and you'll get an email notifying you when I make a video, which isn't that often. So, coming here with you today to talk about something that has come up in my life recently, has some personal relevance, but it's about how we handle things in our mind, where our mind goes, our thinking process when bad things come our way. It seems like there's a recurring theme here. Anyways, bad things, it could be like so many different things. It could be you've been betrayed. It could be someone's cheated you, someone's talking bad about you, like so many different things. What do you do with that stuff coming your way? Where do you go and not let the anger or betrayal or hurt take root in your heart? And so, as I said, coming today with some personal experience here. Actually, just yesterday, I got some really bad news yesterday. I may go into it later. We'll see how I feel. Anyways, I got some bad news yesterday, like 24 hours ago. I was in my room, and you know, when I first got it, if any of you have been hearing some of my other videos about, like, maybe some of the videos about health, you'll know that what I've said before is, like, if you get hit all of a sudden with like a really big and bad emotion, like whether it be like something comes out of nowhere and hits you like with a lot of fear or maybe anxiety or anger or hurt, to do almost like a plot change in your brain, where your brain's wanting to go and like bust out some really hard exercise. It won't take away the problem, but it will at least stop some of that stuff that's going on chemically and emotionally in you. And so I heard this, I got some news, got really upset, and I busted out, like, I was gonna say a bunch of push-ups. It's probably not a bunch, but a bunch for me until I was like dead. I just like collapsed on the floor. And you know, it may not have taken away the problem, but it at least helped change some of the stuff that was rising up. And I go downstairs, and you know, I'm crying, I'm mad. I get a text from my husband because he knew what was going on, and he is like an angel from God, sent to me straight from heaven. And he wrote me a text, and he was like, you know, God knew all this was going to happen before it did, and he's already made a way, he's already made a plan. We've been obedient to him, like he's a good God, like trust in him and stuff like that. And I so appreciated hearing that. At the same time, I was like still struggling with the emotional side of it, like being very upset. And so it's funny because when I woke up this morning, a thought was in my head, like, today's going to be a video day. Like, I'm going to make a video today. And the only one I had like in the works in my mind, that would be kind of ready to go, is one I was doing with someone else. So I'm like, oh, maybe they're available today. Let me text them. And so I sent out a text. I got all my stuff together to take to the office and do a video with them. And I get the text back that they're not available. And so I'm like, well, that's okay. I guess I was wrong. And I left all the stuff at home, which is fine. It's fine. So I'm like, I guess I'm not making a video today because I don't have something specific to talk about right now. Anyway, so I'm at the office today, here, my office, and actually, as I'm doing massages, the Holy Spirit just starts speaking, you know, and it's like, you know, the word says that his sheep know his voice. And it's like, you're in a bad situation. I'm still trying to work through it, like get my head in the right headspace and stuff like that. And it's like, when you're in a situation like that, you can you can choose to listen to the voice of truth, God's voice about the situation, or you can choose to listen to other reasonings, your own voice, or maybe the enemy trying to plant stuff in your heart, to root it in your heart. But you could think of why should I have to deal with this? Reasons why you might feel justified in feeling the way you do, feeling the anger or hurt that you do. And it's like, where are you gonna sit? Where are you gonna dwell? And so, as this was coming up, I was like God was working and speaking a lot as I'm doing massages, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is the video that God wanted me to make. It's about this situation. Of course, I didn't bring any of my stuff, but it's all fine, like I said. Anyways, I think of the verse in 2 Corinthians about Paul. And Paul went through a lot of stuff. He had some great revelation, but I'm telling you, everywhere he went, and it even says it in the Bible, he had a messenger of Satan that was sent to buffet him. And so he ran into persecutions and struggles and trials, and he's getting shipwrecked and he's getting arrested and all these things. And Paul's like, I prayed 3 times to God to remove this thorn of the flesh. And God said that my strength is made perfect in weakness. That my power is made perfect in weakness. Oh gosh, I should have looked that up. Anyways, but it's when we are weak, then we're strong. And so I was thinking about this situation, and I'm like, it's just another one of those things, looking to God in those moments of realizing this is where he's got to step in and strengthen and provide the way and all of that stuff. And I'll just say what it is that I was dealing with, because this is like an online blog or something. It's like an online diary, where the public can read it or watch it. It's a little weird, but it's what I felt like God wanted me to do several years ago, to just record my journey. And a lot of you who have followed my story know, I went through a divorce and all this stuff. And there was a situation with the way the judge ruled where my kid's dad got most of the equity from our family home, but he also got all the debt. So it just kind of worked itself out. So anyways, eventually, the house was sold and his money was spent, and none of the debts that were in my name were taken care of. So I've had to deal with creditors coming at me and stuff like that, and court issues and all this stuff. It's been kind of messy. Well, he filed bankruptcy. And so we got some letters in the mail, and so we called on a bankruptcy attorney, and he looked up the case, and he's like, well, because of the type of bankruptcy he filed for, that means he is getting off, and all the debt legally goes to me, and it doesn't matter what the divorce judge said. So I just found that. That's what I found out yesterday. And it just really, hit hard, not just at the superficial level, oh great, it's possible, we're gonna look into it more, of course, but it's possible we could owe thousands of dollars, but there's several layers there that really makes that a lot, hurt a lot worse. And so, plus he's wanting to get out of child support and stuff. And so, there's just a lot of yuck there, and so in the midst of all of this, believing, and my husband was saying, God knew this was going to happen. He's got a plan. Like, we're following the Lord. Like, it's going to be okay. And as I was standing here in my office working, I remember the Lord saying, "Who do you say that I am?" And He's said this to me before, because sometimes I lose sight. Who do you say that I am? And was Jesus a good teacher? Or is God my eternal Father, the creator of my soul, my good shepherd? Which one? And of course, He's my Heavenly Father, God, and He takes care of me, and He makes ways in the wilderness and streams in the desert. And it's like having faith in who He is, and His ways. And it's one thing, I was thinking with God, it's like there's laws of the universe that God set into place. For instance, the law of sowing and reaping. And I'm going to use this example in the most positive sense of the example that I can use. But in the way of sowing and reaping, some people might think of that law, and some people might call it karma, or they might say what goes around comes around, but really it's a universal law that God put into place of sowing and reaping. And so as it says in I think it is 1 John, I don't know where, 1 John where it says, if our heart condemns us not, we have confidence towards God. And looking at the things of and TJ and I were talking about this last night. It's we tithe, we give, our hearts are before God. We try and walk in integrity and have responsibility and all the things that we feel called to and what we're supposed to do. And knowing that as we move forward, even though these things may come our way, having confidence that God is going to look after us, that what we've sowed, all the good things that we've sowed will come back. And it's it reminds me of in Psalms, where he says, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. You prepare a table for me in the presence of my enemies. It doesn't matter what we're going through. God is with us. He makes a way. It may be hard, but He makes a way, and His power is made perfect in weakness. And so having trust and belief that, yeah, this may be hard right now, but the way God works is so cool. Even if when all the dust settles, even if I'm held responsible for debt that I shouldn't have to pay, even if it comes to that, God can work in ways. He's got a better plan than we can think of. I even think of marrying my husband. He can do bigger and better than anything we could ask or think. My relationship with my husband is I never imagined a human relationship being so good. And I'm sorry if that sounds sappy, it's just true. But just believing that as we walk through, God can show up in other ways that He can make up for anything. He can make up for in other ways that we didn't see coming. And so we can't outgive God. He's always going to show up strong on our behalf. And so I made a few notes because all of this was coming so fast. It's after my last appointment, I'm trying to jot down stuff real quick because I'm I don't know if I'm going to remember all this. Another thing I think about is, in regard to all of this, is there is a term in the Jewish culture called emunah, and it's basically rejoicing and being thankful in whatever comes our way. Whatever is brought our way, we're going to be thankful to God for it, even in the hardships, because God allows. God's the gatekeeper, kind of like with Job. A lot of bad stuff happened to Job, but Satan had to get permission from God to cross that barrier. So that can go into a whole bunch of other stuff, and I'm not really into all that stuff, but you know what I'm saying. So the thought of emunah, like embracing whatever it comes our way. And I have a little story about that. And this is like so not a big deal, like it's not a big bad thing, but in the sense, I'm not going to share that. Never mind. Maybe another time. Anyways, I'll go on to this though. There is a hymn called It Is Well. It's a beautiful hymn that most people know. It is well with my soul. I heard this like 20 years ago because it meant something to my pastor a lot. And then I heard something about it recently too. But it brings up the point of the guy who wrote that hymn. He wrote it. What happened was his wife and his 4 daughters were coming over from Europe to America, and the boat sank, and the 4 daughters drowned, and his wife was the only one surviving, and had written him, like, I don't know, like what it was back then, was it a telegram or whatever, basically saying, like, this is what's happened, you need to come get me. And on his way to go get his wife, he wrote that hymn. And like, nothing like that's ever happened to me. That's real big stuff. But to be able to look at whatever situation you're in and say, it is well with my soul, is a beautiful place to be. Putting that confidence in God and knowing that God is going to take care of us no matter what we go through. There's a story in the Bible, something similar, and I wish I remembered if it was Elijah or Elisha. I always get them confused, but there was a woman whose son had died, and she just gathers up her stuff, and she's heading out to go see the prophet of God, and her husband's like, where are you going? Like, is everything okay? And she's like, everything is good. I'm going to go see the prophet. How can you say everything is good when your son has just died? How can you say it is well with my soul when 4 of your kids just drowned? It's having faith in a bigger God, knowing that God is a loving God and he's going to take care of it all. And there's going to be a beautiful tapestry woven from the story of your life. You may think the pattern is going to look one way, and here comes this thread. What is that thread doing in my beautiful pattern of tapestry of my life? And yet that thread might be the hardships and the trials, but it makes for a beautiful and interesting tapestry. God's working it all out for the good. The Bible says that God works all things together for the good for those who love and trust him and are called according to his purpose. God can do big things with your life, even in the seemingly hard and desperate places. So I hope this spoke something to you. I feel so renewed today, and I'm sure it's like from the prayers of my husband and my family, because they know what's going on. We may not be facing trials as big as some of the ones that I just mentioned, but we're all going through our own stuff, and being able to look to God and know that he loves us and he's going to work it all out, and that we just have to have faith and trust him to do his work. So I love you guys. If you like what you heard, show me some love, give me some comments or whatever, and hope to talk to you guys soon. Love you.